it's your podcast sister Lisa coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio. And if you like to discover new music, then you've come to the right place. This is where you'll meet singers, songwriters, musicians, and more. Stay tuned and let's talk music. Welcome, Charly. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you on the show. You've just released your debut album called
Yes.
Off the Record, and it's fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I always like to ask those that have released their debut album, is this a collection of a lifetime of songs and lyrics that you had to choose from?
Honestly, these were written probably in the last 2 years or so, geared towards the album. When we were writing, I was kind of trying. I have so many songs. I was trying to pick through old and new, but I have a problem where when we write a song and I love it and I'm obsessed with it, I want it out right away. And so that's why a lot of these songs were actually newly written in the last 2 years.
Well, I'm telling you, it's full of one hit after another. There's 12
Thank you.
songs, and we're going to play three different song snippets today. And Charly, I have to tell you, it was so difficult for me to pick three. I love them
Oh,
all.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's my goal right there. I'm glad.
Yes. Well, I think you've achieved it. I know you
Thank
have.
you. Thanks.
So I thought we would start the interview off by talking a little bit about when you were younger, growing up, and when did you discover the love for music?
Yeah, so I've loved music and singing my whole life since I could talk. I loved like Disney princesses, and then so I loved singing all that growing up. I'm from Orlando, Florida, too, originally. And so loved singing the princesses songs, and then kind of went into a little bit of like Adele and Taylor Swift back then. But I've always listened to country music, like with my family and everything. And I just loved it. And I saw Carrie Underwood when I was 12 on her Blown Away tour. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Like that's the end goal right there. And that stuck with me. And it still is the goal. But I've been singing just forever. And it really is my passion. I love being on stage. I love singing. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't. It's just my favorite thing.
When did you start playing the guitar?
I started, I think, senior year of high school. So a year before I moved to Nashville, maybe it was 2 years, maybe it was junior year of high school. I had like 2 or 3 lessons and then kind of just used online and YouTube to help teach me how to play like certain songs that I wanted to play. But it definitely did not come naturally to me. So I needed some practice. And I wish that I would have learned it from a young age. That's like one thing that I really one day when I have kids want them to be in, some kind of musical instrument lesson. I did piano as a kid, but I absolutely hated it and wanted to quit. So unfortunately my parents were right when they had me quit, said that I would want to, regret it and want to learn it someday. And I was like, no, I won't. I never want to play. I don't care. And now and during COVID, I was trying to relearn and, I don't know. I love piano, so I hope to be able to play that, but guitar is really my only instrument.
Well, you play it like a professional from day one.
Well,
And
thank you.
it's true. It's true.
Thanks.
So you talked about high school, and I have to ask you because I read in your bio, you announced to your parents right out of high school, I think when you were 18, that
Mhm.
you decided you were going to be moving from Florida to Nashville to become a singer-songwriter. I mean,
Yes.
how did you feel and what did your family say?
It was so weird because my family actually was part of the reason I moved here because I was going to go to college and be a news broadcaster and go to University of Alabama and do a sorority and all that stuff. And because I felt like you had to, because that's just kind of the way that the school systems raise everyone to think that you have to go to college or else you're not going to be successful. Like it's like this whole ordeal. And so in my head, it was like, no, I have to go to college, and I have to have a degree and everything. And my parents were like, no, you don't. Like, if you want to move to Nashville and do that, then do it now. Like, don't wait.
Wow.
And so I did, and it was crazy. And I'm really glad that I did, not just because of music and like the growth that I've had here for almost 7 years now, which is crazy. But just because I really don't believe in that. Like, I don't think you need a degree to be successful. And there's pros and cons, to college, but I'm glad that I, took this route and have been doing music now and have lived here for so long now. So I think it was important for me to do, and I'm glad that I did.
Well, that's a terrific story, and it's nice to hear that your family was so supportive because not
Yeah.
everybody has that.
I know I am very blessed and fortunate to have the support system that I have in my family. They are incredible, and I could not do this without them at all. They've just been such huge supporters of me.
Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
What motivates you to stay focused and, continue to do what you love to do in such a competitive industry like country music, especially in Nashville?
I would say I have to focus on the art itself, focus on the passion, not the business. I think that there are times when I can get really caught up in the business of, numbers and comparison and all this stuff that doesn't matter at the end of the day, and forget about why I do it, which is because I love it. So I think staying focused in that headspace rather than, focus on the creativity and on the singing and on the shows and on the fun side, rather than focusing on, does that have enough views? Do I have enough followers? Is this, it's just not worth it. And it just causes unnecessary stress and worry and distraction. So I think for me, I just have to remember to focus on the part of why I do it. It's the passion, the art, the fun, the singing, the performing, and kind of make sure to not, drift off into worrying too much about those kind of things.
Well, thank you for sharing that because it is such a wise way to live. And, I think that could apply to anyone's career listening to this. And there are so many distractions, and you have such a good head on your shoulders. And
Thank you.
over the course of the 7 years being, in Nashville and continuing to grow and become more and more successful, what have you felt that in 7 years that you've learned that stands out the most in that period of time?
Oh, stands out the most. Um, there's so many things, honestly, but one of the first things that comes to mind is just confidence, because I feel like you coming here, moving here, you have to be confident in your talent and your, singing or whatever your talent may be, and not get you just can't think about the bad. You have to think about the good. You have to think about the fun. Kind of like what I was saying a minute ago, but just having confidence in yourself and not letting yourself get beaten down is huge. And I think if you can keep yourself in that mindset, it makes, because the music industry can be so tough, so cutthroat, so exhausting, and kind of a little toxic at times. But if you can stay in that mindset of, I am good enough for this, I am confident enough, I have, good, if you have a good head on your shoulders, then it makes things a lot easier. Granted, there's still times, even last night, like on stage, where, you still get on in your head and stuff like that sometimes, but that's normal. But I think, as a teenager coming and moving here, I definitely was not prepared for, just all of the things that come along with being an artist when I moved here, because I just thought I'd move here and be famous the next day and get to sing and tour for the rest of my life. So I had no idea really what I was in for.
Well, I think this is a perfect segue to play the first song snippet, your title song from your debut album, Off the Record.
Yes.
And Charly, when we come back, let's talk more music.
All right.
They brought me in, said they need to ask a couple questions. Something about my husband, they're saying he's gone missing. Where were you last weekend? When'd you last see him? And would you have a reason? But little old me, please, a girl like me would never. He was my forever, but off the record between you and me, I've been lying straight through my teeth. He's sleeping in a bed he made, and now that bed's 6 feet deep. You'd understand if you only knew all the hell that he put me through. My guilt is light as a feather, I've never felt better, but that's off the record. They let me go with a sympathetic sorry. Then I came home and all the neighbors are waiting on me, with a casserole dish saying he'll be missed. What kind of a person could ever do this? But off the record between you and me, I've been lying straight through my teeth. He's sleeping in a bed he made, and now that bed's 6 feet deep. You'd understand if you only knew all the hell that he put me through. My guilt is light as a...
I love that song.
Thank
What
you.
what inspired you to write it?
So actually, Murder Country was like being written a lot in Nashville last year and the year before. And I was like, I don't want to be left out. I want to write a Murder Country song. And so it was just kind of funny and fun. They're obviously not written from experience. It was kind of a fun song to be able to write, like a creative, just total fake story. So that was really fun to be able to do. And we just had fun with it and messed around in the writing room. And yeah, I don't know. That song is one of my favorites. It also, the music video is so fun. It was the most fun music video I've ever shot. And is my favorite that I've ever had. It's something that is like, murder is like morbid, but it's something with country music and murder songs like Goodbye Earl, R.I.P. by Taylor Austin Die. They just work. I don't know what it is, but it's funny and it's like its own genre. So I didn't want to be left out. I wanted to have one too.
Well, I have to tell you, speaking of your video, that is probably my favorite video that I've seen.
Thank you.
And let me tell you why it's an A+ in my book.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just the way you captivate that character, your facial expressions, the way that you are singing the song, and even the woman next to you is like perfect.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, was she just someone you know, or
she was a friend of a friend that I actually had never met until that day when we all showed up, and she did amazing. We were all telling her, we're like, why don't you do this like as a career? Like, she did not break character one time. I did a few times because it was just funny. But she just stayed in character and she did great. She was amazing.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone to watch Charly Reynolds' Off the Record official video. It's terrific.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's the truth. So I want to talk a little bit more about your songwriting and on this album. So like we talked about, we had, the fun off the record, but then you also included a song that I want you to talk about because it's a very heartfelt one and one that's very personal to you. And it's called Visiting Hours. And could you tell us the story behind the writing of that song, Charly?
Of course. So my brother Jake passed away when I was 5. And I've wanted to write a song about that for a very long time. But death can be such a hard thing to write about, and a weird thing to write about, because I didn't want to write this heart-wrenching, like super sad song. I knew that whatever I wrote, I wanted it to be, have like a bittersweet song, something that makes you happy to think of them, but not so sad that, you're just sobbing. I mean, a lot of people do, and I do sometimes singing it, but it's from a happy, like a joyful place, not like a very depressing place. And so I couldn't figure out an idea for it for years and years and years. And then finally, I kind of had like a waiting room concept at first for it, like in the waiting room or something. I don't know. And we were talking about it in the Right. And I wrote it with Nicole Croteau and Chris Utley. And I was like, I finally stumbled on visiting hours. And I was like, that's it. Like, I'm ready to write it. Let's write it. We'd written another song that day too. I don't remember which one it was. But anyway, we wrote it. And I was like, this is my favorite song ever. I don't know when I'm going to release it or if I'm going to release it, but it was like for me. And so then I decided I was going to release it, and I wasn't really prepared for the, like on TikTok, it did really well. But what I didn't think about, because I just think about that it's my song and I want it to relate to other people, but I don't normally get to see that like online. But with this one, everyone was posting, pictures of their loved ones on TikTok and Instagram with the sound. And so I got to watch like 700 videos, and it made me so it made me so happy, I guess, to see that something we wrote is bringing so much love to people. Something that is so personal to me that I really didn't think of anyone else when writing it. That to see that people are able to use it and, listen to it and think of their loved ones and stuff is really something special to be able to do. So it's definitely one of my favorite songs ever. And probably my favorite song forever. I can't really imagine writing something more meaningful than that one.
Yeah, it is so unique and something that I think everyone longs for, but maybe never even had the words to
Yeah.
say it, or it's almost like you were touched by an angel. And I'm sure your brother is looking down when you sing this song and saying, "That's my sister. I'm so proud of her." It's because it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
And I really think that it's important for us to maybe play that song snippet now so that others can hear it and then go back after the show and really listen to it. And why don't we go ahead and play snippet number 2? And thank you so much for sharing that story.
Of course.
And here we go. The song Visiting Hours by Charly Reynolds.
I know it's been a while, and I've got so much to fill you in on. Mom teaches at the same school, and I finally made the big move, trying to make all my dreams come true. If you make friends with an angel, maybe they could let me in. Yeah, do me a favor, 'cause I wouldn't miss it. Been sitting here wishing they'd open those gates, even just for a minute. I'd be right on time, be the first one in line, and I'd show up with flowers if heaven had visiting hours. Change, there's been a lot of it. We've got another brother now, and he's 11. Granddaddy's hanging in there, and Dad's got some gray hairs. If you can meet up, just tell me where, 'cause I wouldn't miss it. Been sitting here wishing they'd open those gates, even just for a minute. I'd be right on time, be the first one in line, and I'd show up with flowers if heaven had visiting hours.
Right. So it's a tough one.
I know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. So Charly, that song is beautiful, and I'm glad that you wrote it and you're able to talk about it and help others through that song.
Thank you.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, let's talk about some of your other songs that you wrote prior to your debut album. Because when I was doing research, you have many, many singles out there.
I do.
So She Ain't Me, Rodeo,
Yes.
Neon Moon, which I read was a featured song on Fox's hit television series season finale of The Resident.
Yes.
I mean, how did that happen?
That was actually so crazy and weird. I got an email. I used to do like covers every week on YouTube, and I covered Neon Moon one week, and I got an email that said that it was super casual email, and it just said, we want to use this in our season 5 finale of The Resident on Fox. Like, respond, or like, let us know if you'd be interested, if we can use it. And I was like, this is a scam, because I get hundreds of scam emails a day, it seems like, just fake stuff like that. And but I sent it to my manager at the time, and I was like, hey, can you look into this and see, just to make sure if this is legit or not? And so he checked into it, and it was crazy. And I had to re-record it. We re-recorded it like in the studio, because that was just to a karaoke track, the one that they had emailed me about. And we got in the studio, recorded it within a week, and then 3 weeks later it was in the finale. And it was just crazy. It was so weird. And they put my name on the jukebox with Rodeo on it, because Rodeo had came out right then. And it was just a really cool experience. I've never had anything like that before, so it was really fun.
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube, and it's just a once in a lifetime kind of thing,
It is.
Actually
It's so
talk to
cool.
someone like you that had a song on a television show, and that's a big deal. It really
Yeah.
is.
Oh, it was so cool. And I had a like little watch party at my apartment with some friends, and I had to go back and rewatch it once everyone left, just to like take in how cool that was. It's such a cool experience. I hope to be able to do more stuff like that in the future, for sure.
Well, I have a feeling you will.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's talk about your performing, and your schedule looks so intense, and you're probably recording too as well in the studio. And what has it been like to share the stage with some big names in the country music industry? In the last year and the year before, I think I read that you shared the stage with Lainey Wilson and Maddie and Tay, and I'm sure the list goes on. What is that like?
It's so cool to be able to be on the same lineup as, people who inspire me every day. It's just such an honor. It makes me feel like I'm doing something right. But Cody Johnson was one of my favorites to be able to share the lineup with. He was like the nicest person in the world, and complimented our band and me, and was just so amazing. And so to be able to get those moments backstage to meet for a minute and chat, even if that's the last time we see each other for a very long time, it is still so cool just to be able to open for these people that I'm so inspired by. So it's really, really special.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what you have coming on tour in 2025. I know I read some announcements on your website, and I encourage everyone to do so as well. Switching gears a little bit, speaking of last year, I know that you had a little bit of a setback on your career. Um, and I wanted you to maybe take a moment and just talk about that experience after your vocal surgery and how you know, had to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Actually, yesterday I saw on my social media, I had my vocal cord surgery 2 years ago yesterday, which is
Wow.
crazy. It feels like not that long ago. But yeah, I was having some vocal problems, which I've never had any problems before. And I couldn't sing for like more than 30 minutes without losing my voice, and it was hurting a lot.
Mm.
Very tense and tight, scratchy after 30 minutes. And so I made an allergist appointment, and then one day, and then the next day, a appointment at Vanderbilt Voice Center. And I was like, it's one or the other. It's either allergies or there's something wrong. And so I went to the allergy place, and it wasn't allergy. I mean, I have allergies, but they were all the same as usual. And then went to the Voice Center and got scoped, like the vocal scoping. And my vocal cords they're supposed to be white and just straight, normal. And mine were bloody and hemorrhaged and bumpy and swollen and all this stuff. And it was crazy. And so I was put on a week of vocal rest, just a week to start. So no talking, no singing, nothing. And that ended up being a month. So I didn't talk or sing for a full month of September. And once we got out of that, we were hoping that would bring it down, the swelling, and there was a polyp, hoping it would bring it all down, but it just wasn't enough. Unfortunately, there was too much scar tissue to be able for it to go away. And so ended up having to have vocal surgery January 2023. And that was the biggest, craziest time in my life, I would say. It was the scariest time, the hardest time, also a good learning time, though. I had like no voice when I came out of vocal surgery. I couldn't talk for a week, but then vocal therapy started a week after. So when I went to speak for the first time, it scared me so bad because there was hardly anything to come out. Like I had to try so hard to get like a whisper out, and it was scary because I was like, what have I done? You know, why have I done this to myself? But after, I think, well, it was 5 months till I got on stage again, but it was like 3 to 4 months of vocal therapy, speech therapy, all of that. It was a lot. After all of that, I got feeling a little better, but it really took a little over a year for my voice to get a little more back to normal. And even more recently, I even said that it's been 2 years now, but I said recently in December, I was like, I finally feel like it's getting back to where it was. And it's been 2 years. It takes a long time. And this year I had to do physical therapy for it because I never listened and I didn't do it when I should have done it. But I had to do that this year too, which helped a lot. But it really was a lot of growing and learning of how to take care of my voice properly and what my voice, like my vocal strengths and weaknesses are. Like I don't need to be in a loud room talking and, you know, trying to talk over people. I need sleep. It's important. I have to get IVs, stay hydrated before shows. And there's just a lot of things that I didn't learn. And I never used to warm up ever. Now I can't sing without warming up hardly. It's bad for you, number one, but it's also, I now need to warm up. Whereas before I would just start singing, but it's definitely taught me how to prepare correctly for performances. But in that time, it was also really weird because I'm normally I can be a big worrier. And during that time, it was kind of, I had prayed about it so much that I really was okay with whatever the outcome was. If, if I come out of this and I can't ever sing again, then that's God's way of telling me I wasn't supposed to be doing this. But if I can sing, then I am supposed to be doing this, and it's all good. But I'd had this weird peace over the whole thing during it. I would say like a few weeks after was a little harder because it had been done and it was scary to hear my voice like that. But beforehand, I was totally fine about it. I was like, it's in God's hands. If I'm supposed to sing, I'll sing. If it doesn't go good, that's, a sign. But it's crazy to think that I did have that peace over it like that, because I cannot imagine what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this, because it's my favorite thing in the world. But I had just prayed a lot, and God really took over in those couple weeks and months leading up to that.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. And when I was listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, you are such a strong woman, and I admire you for taking things head on, talking about it openly. These are tough subjects. You have a graceful way about it, but you're no nonsense, you could tell. And you are an inspiration, really. And it's nice too that you do lean on faith. I know that I do lean on my faith as well. And it's difficult, in these troubled times, like with the fires, and, you pray to God that, that this ends, because right now while we're recording, I mean, it's devastating. And I'm sure we both have been praying for all those in need.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. But the one thing too about music, it does help the soul. It's good, to have the songs to listen to, and you're writing them. And one of the songs too that I focused on to feature today, switching gears a little bit, was my last song snippet, People Think.
Yes.
And I can't wait to play that song at the close of the show. And everybody, please stay on, because it's a good one. And the video's great too, Charly.
Thank you. That's another one of my favorites. It was really fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah. So before I close out with that song, please let the listeners and your fans know where they can find you on social media, and maybe what you have coming down the pike in 2025. Awesome.
Yeah. You can find me everywhere at Charly Reynolds Music. Just LY, like it says on the screen. No E in there, but Charly Reynolds Music. And if you're looking for show dates, you can go to www.charlyreynolds.com/tour, and everything's on my website there. So hope to see you at a show. We have a lot of fun coming up this year, so we hope to be able to see you.
Yeah, and I love your merch.
Thank you.
I love the t-shirt for visiting hours.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you have a lot of things to choose from, and I hope all those listening and your fans check out your merch on your website.
Thank you.
And Charly, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and I'd love to have you back on.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, absolutely. And I encourage everyone to download Charly Reynolds music, add it to your collection. And Charly, we're going to close the show with your song, People Think. And like I always say, that's a wrap. There we go.
Awesome.
That I'm rich, but this Louis is as fake as it gets. They say to slim down, girl, you could stand to lose a few pounds. They think I talk dumb just 'cause I'm too blonde. They're just waiting on something to go wrong. Say I got it easy, but I've been knee deep. They would know if they tried to get to know me, so let them think I'm crazy. Raising hell on Saturday, I can be a lady. Sipping on some champagne all night, I make those heads turn, eyes roll, dressed to the nines. I guess it is a real good thing that I don't care what people, I don't care